back to council on specific items that would need to be adopted by council, such as the expenditure of funds for signage or other things. We're going to need parking enforcement. We believe we can do that with part-time folks. We don't have the staff in place to do that the way it has to be done, but it can be done very cost-effective. Again, there's part-time parking enforcement systems that are out there. I've used them in the past, and they're extremely efficient and cost-effective. And those, that form of, or the parking enforcement, again, would be brought before council. In the packet, you can see pretty much, I think, everything we have just discussed. In the summary, at the end, is kind of the things that we need to do. And I'll close with this and open up for questions and comments. Is we would need new wayfinding signage, improved, let's put it that way, wayfinding signage to let people know where our public parking is. And pavement striping, there's some spots that we've identified we could add some additional parking without busting things up too bad. Geotagging on the public lots, connecting them to social media searches for connected to anything to Holly events or businesses. It allows for instant online mapping and navigation. The new restriction signage in the downtown parking district. So I'm not a big fan of signage either. I hate it's a form of noise, especially when you're in a car and you're driving downtown and you got to look up and see all the regulation signages. There's a way of combining signage and meeting the Michigan requirement on the uniform traffic laws as to how far apart those signs are, the backgrounds, the color of the signage, letters, all that's regulated by Michigan law. But we can put them in a place where the signage is consistent and it meets the regulations, and we would actually probably reduce some of the signage downtown in doing that. It's kind of cleaning up the sign noise too. Proper naming and theme signage of public parking lots. QR code for downtown parking district public parking locations and rules. That QR code can be crafted, put on menus, put on different things, even on a door of a business. Anytime you do a social media thing, you know, check our parking regulations and availability here. QR code, you can pop it open, show a map, all of our public parking, the rules of each parking to encourage people to come downtown. You know, the catchphrase is, we have free parking downtown Holly. Free parking. And that QR code could be huge. Implementation of the residential overnight parking management system as opposed to designated to a specific spot. And then adoption of downtown parking district ordinances and combining the rest of the parking ordinances that are kind of, they're codified, but they're spread out throughout different places of our book of ordinances. We'll bring everything into one place. And then adoption of parking enforcement system and employment of parking enforcement agents. And again, it's the concept of this. You can't have parking rules and guidelines without enforcement. It's not going to work. It's one of the problems we have now. We don't have rules set forth that are specific, and therefore we don't have enforcement. And those factors, anything to do with resolutions for adoption of ordinances, signage, language, naming, and finance costs would come back before council. So, questions?
Any board questions, you know?
Yeah, I have a couple. First of all, you said that space was behind what building?
It runs to the south. It's a narrow piece of land that runs behind. You've got the a grain elevator there, the downtown, just next to that. It's the old lawnmower repair service station. And we've actually done some engineering plans already that would show we could possibly put up to 200 vehicles there. It's going to be a narrow strip, but you'll have parking, and the engineering study shows.
Head down towards Academy.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you said it was bought by Vince Iafano, and would this be charged to the public or free to the public?
Free.
Perfect.
The proposal right now is free parking.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, I don't remember from the presentation you gave on that, but was there also access from Academy or no?
Yes.
Yes, so you could, both ends, okay.
Yeah. Improved lighting, and then the dual access, free parking, event parking. I mean, it's limitless of what that would do. And the beauty of it is if by doing this as a public-private partnership, we can apply for all of these grants. And there's things that we can do together that we can't do alone. And if we can get grant funding to pay for the engineering, pay for the lighting, pay for the fencing, at the end of the day, the Village of Holly walks away with 200 parking spaces free to park in our downtown district. I have acute knowledge of local other communities in Oakland County that have paid $5 and $10 million for parcels to do just that in their downtown district, and we're only able to obtain about 100 and 130. So this is just almost unheard of, this opportunity. Certainly this is going to would come back before the Planning Commission and other, the council and other, as the proposals come forward. But we're in those planning stages now, and it's kind of rare to get that happen. So we're very thankful to have the opportunity.
I have a few comments.
Go right there.
You mentioned something about having a parking QR code and things like that where people, and being on the Google Maps is paramount. That's really important, especially when we have events. But also for events, since I'm kind of in the throngs of that as we speak, we often make agreements with other areas for additional parking. And so I wondered if that QR code, and this is premature, I know, but just put it in your things to do. Could that be adaptable where we could add additional parking to that QR code just for those events? Such as the Presbyterian Church and the school that we're using currently for the Dickens Festival. Could we add that so the out-of-town people would have that on their QR code as well?
Absolutely. In fact, the way we envision this, what we want to do is go actually to all of these places now with shared use agreements and to begin to craft those. So, hey, you kind of been doing this already for events. Let's make it really cool. Let's do something for you for doing something for us. And we'll figure out that I don't want to speak for our DPW and I don't want to speak for the village to say, they'll do striping. But I know those are agreements I've signed with dozens of businesses, and they're usually pretty happy to do them, and if it's reasonable, we'll be able to do those. The cool thing is if we get these locked in, they might say, I don't want to have this through the week, but when you have events, so we tag those lots to those events. So when you search that event, and even on a QR code, when you search that event, here's parking for that event. Boom, right there.
And I know you touched on the fact you mentioned lately about lighting. Obviously, we'll need lighting. But I was hoping that we could couple that in with community art, because there's a lot of parking lots that have community art, and lighting can be part of community art. So I would like to see that married together as we move forward with the plans to try to work in some community art, and there's plenty of grant money available for that as well.
Especially along the fence line you
Correct.
can do, yeah.
And exactly. I mean, the more lighting we can get, lighting is safety.
Right.
And that's the thing. And I'll say that forever. I don't care if you have a business, a house, lighting is safety. Parking lot, who wants to be, if I'm asking a business employee or an owner to use to park in front of their house or their business to now walk 3 blocks and go to another parking lot, the least we can do is make sure that they feel safe and that there's enough lighting to do that.
Right.
And if it meets the needs of art and things like that, because sometimes this proposal then would qualify, if it's a public-private proposal, for the other grants as well. So absolutely, yeah.
And
It's
the
a great
other
idea.
comment I have, you kind of discarded the thought of enforcement on Sunday. And I want to bring that up only because our community's unlike a lot of other communities. We're very busy on Sundays. And we have a lot of restaurant visitors early on. I've personally seen them pile into someone else's vehicle and then drive away and leave their vehicles there for the day. That's a problem, and Sunday is as busy as any other day in our community. So because we are a destination, people come here because we're Holly. I would like some consideration given to enforcement on Sundays as well. And I know that's an additional expense, but
We can do that. Normally, what we've found in the past is that people don't want enforcement on Sundays. So normally, it's like, give us a time where we're not, like Sundays and holidays, if you go to downtown Ann Arbor, if you go to downtown Royal Oak or Birmingham, they don't do enforcement on Sundays to encourage people to come down because it's an off day. But that doesn't matter. If it's an on day for us, then that's a day that we'll do enforcement.
It's more of paying. I mean, I like it when they don't charge you on a Sunday, if they charge you every other day. You know, so a lot of municipalities, you go to the parking meter and it says Sunday you get free, and you're like, all right, you know, Sunday's free. So maybe that's where that plays in, is not necessarily enforcement, but, you know, on the paid spots.
And there is no enforcement, right? So if you're not paying, there's not somebody coming by saying, okay, you parked more than 3 hours. So, and that's okay. I mean, we can design for Holly everything Holly needs, and that's the cool thing about it. And the cool thing about it too is once we get this thing rolling, if something doesn't fit or we find something else that works better, it's a simple adoption and change of a resolution language, and it's, you know, I'm sure council is gonna be listening to their residents and their DDA board and their optics and what they're seeing. So that's the cool thing about it is, this is a parking management concept that we're looking at to have support on, but it's consistent and uniform in Michigan and throughout just about every downtown community you're at. And again, I'll say it again, I'll say it as loud and often as I can. I don't like parking meters. I don't like punishment parking. I'm not a fan of them. And this allows us to regulate that without having to install punishment parking, paid parking.
If you enforce it, and that's gonna be your biggest hurdle, because I've been involved in communities in the past, I've served on parking committees in other communities, and enforcement was the key. And I know you call it punishment parking, but unfortunately, that was the way money made them realize that you were serious. So through your enforcement, you can still do that, but it'll have to be enforced,
Oh,
because.
it will be enforced, and that's part of this, this entire proposal is predicate upon hiring and parking enforcement agents. We don't have those now because technically we don't have enough parking enforcement rules, but they're part-time. Most of the parking management systems out there are no cost to police departments and municipalities to involve with them, and what they do is, let's say we have a $20 parking ticket, 5 of that would go to the parking management company and 15 goes to the municipality. It isn't about making money, but it's, you know, it's something I've said for a lot of years is, you know what, I've raised 5 boys and I was a teenager once too, but now I'm a grown-up. And we can't spank adults, so we can fine them. And that usually gets their attention. I know when my boys were little.
There'll be warnings initially, right? to
There'll be
issue
warnings, we can do warnings. There's also in that, you can have a first, second, and third offense, and that's usually in a 2-year period. So if you have repeat offenders, I mean, keep in mind, some people aren't going to care. I just, personal history, I remember we wrote an individual 44 different parking tickets over a 12-month period, and every time he would say, "F you guys, I'm gonna park there and I'm gonna pay the ticket." And I used to tell him, please keep doing that. You bought us a patrol car. And we're gonna do this every year. We have a new arrangement going. But no, there's gotta be fairness, there's gotta be uniformity. What we don't do is publish, because we can't, I can tell you right now, we're not gonna have parking. If the downtown restriction is 6 a.m. To 6 p.m., we're not gonna have parking agents 6 a.m., 6 p.m. every day. No municipality has that, and it's not needed, but we're gonna surprise you when we're there. And they're gonna rotate that, it's never gonna be the
Just don't
same.
post your work schedule.
Correct, yeah, the parking, but it's gonna be fair, there's gonna be warnings, because again, we're not here to make money. Usually the parking enforcement, can end up paying, the citations in the beginning can end up paying for the enforcement, but you can modify both based on what happens, and once the word gets out, voluntary compliance is what we want. And we want to publish this and get this out, you know, through the newspapers, through social media once, and if this is adopted and implemented, education is, to me, the biggest thing. So the more we can let people know, the more this is going to benefit our business community and our residential community. They're going to have proper access without, you know, we'll get calls all the time. There's only 18 spots, and, you know, I can't get a parking spot in there, and I'm downtown. I know, there's 33 spaces, and if everybody has a car and they have a friend or a spouse, there's 66 cars for 18 spaces. And that's an item of discussion too, is what does a municipality wish to allow? How many vehicles per unit in a downtown district? That's a discussion. We're not gonna set that figure, we're gonna have to discuss that. But all I'm asking tonight is to look at this from that light and either recommend or not recommend this parking management proposal. The fine points will come back to council as required.
Dave, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just briefly, I really agree with a couple of points here. One being, like parking meters, and I think that's part of the culture of the town and everything that we'd like to maintain. But I do wonder a little bit about the practicality of enforcement and just things strike me like, how are we gonna manage that 2-hour limit? You know, is that something where it's just gonna have to be reported that this vehicle's been here in front of my store for 10 hours, or they're gonna be making check marks behind the tires, or what have you, those kind of things. How do we distinguish between an employee vehicle and, you know, a customer guest, just some of those things, just curious how you foresee some of that.
Yes, so the employee vehicle, it depends on how deep we go into that. And I've used systems in the past where we register all employee vehicles because we actually designated like this lot is employees only. I don't think we need to go to that point. If an employee's down there and they're getting a 2-hour parking ticket, they're already getting, you know, they're in the wrong spot at the wrong time. And there's different ways we can involve that, but the parking management systems that are used today, they used to mark tires, right? The agents, parking agents would go down there and mark a little tire. Then there was that went to court and they said, well, that's defacing my vehicle. Somebody with a Maserati didn't like the chalk mark on their tire. So literally, I think it was a Birmingham rule. And, but it went to court and it came out that, you know, you can't touch the cars, you can't mark the tires. Well, then that got overturned. I think the Michigan Supreme Court overruled that. You can do it, but I don't like that. So there's systems out there, and I've got quite a bit of experience with one where the parking agency carries with them. It's an actual cell phone. And the company gives you the cell phone, and they give you the thermal printers like we have in the police cars. So our parking tickets, our municipal parking tickets are designed into the software of the thermal printer. It's small, hangs around their neck, and they have a cell phone. And the cell phone reads to the thermal printer, and it takes a picture of the vehicle in a specific way. Not gonna give that out here. On how it lets us know that that vehicle, if it moves an inch, it's gonna let the parking agent know. It timestamps it into that cell phone, and they'll move up and down the street. Let's say they come in at 8 a.m. and they'll click, 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 click each car that's up and down the street. And within, let's say it's 2-hour, 3-hour parking, they'll go back and we'll see if there's new cars there. It'll automatically record them in and lets them know, okay, now they're in the system. But it'll remember because it takes the license plate and then a position of the vehicle. It's real simple, real quick. And then if they're in violation, when they come back, the system actually says it's in violation, send warning, send violation. And then the system also knows if they've ever been cited in the past. So it's, and it's really simple stuff, and there's literally no cost for it. And the payback to the companies are in the actual citations, a percentage of the citations. So there's no contact with the vehicle, it's quick, and they can make that cycle 2 or 3 times in an 8-hour day.
On the enforcement part, the fines, if illegally parked car gets a fine, does the village partnership with a company that takes care of these fines? And you said part of it goes to the parking authority and part of it goes to somewhere else, so does the village have to go into a contract with a company that takes care of the fines, or does it go through the court system? And on top of that, is this going to be an extra burden on the budget of Holly? Is it gonna cost, what's it gonna cost the village?
Okay. Yeah, in the parking system, yeah, we'd have to enter into an agreement with the parking management companies. But again, the ones that I've worked with in the past, there's no cost. So there is no budget impact. And what they do is on the violation, it'll say violations are paid at whatever.com. And this, again, if you get a ticket in Birmingham, Royal Oak, they're pretty much all the same. So that goes there, so they get that, and then they pay us once a month the difference.
Is it only paid online? Because
Correct.
I can see my elderly customers not being able to pay online. They're gonna come to you and to the
Yeah.
station with their,
And we may be able to assist them, but most of these are an online payment, form of payment. I mean, if we print out parking tickets, I can tell you right now, it's gonna cost $5,000 just to print parking tickets. That's how much it costs. It's an ineffective paper system. Then you gotta buy bags to put them in, cause in the winter it's raining. And then somebody took my ticket off my car and, you know. So these systems, at the end run, are less costly to municipalities. You're gonna have people that will have to need help. They can come to the PD and we'd be happy to help them. But, I've used these before and it's amazing how many people get it figured out. So what happens is when they are overdue, if they haven't paid, these systems also work with our court systems. So that violation is then sent electronically to the court, and then the court sends out notices to the offender that just says, you know, you got a court date here, show cause, to come in for a past due parking ticket. Very effective, very streamlined, almost zero. The only cost really to the community is the enforcement agents, and they would be comparable to in pay to our crossing guards, school crossing guards. These are part-time, there's no benefits, and hopefully we can find people that would do that. But the cool thing about it is everybody in this room right now, if you raise your right hand and repeat after me, you're a parking agent legally in the state of Michigan. So, yeah, if you want to raise your right hand, I mean, realistically, we could make every business owner a parking enforcement agent. And under Michigan law, you have authority to go out. So it is a civilian, it is designed under Michigan law that anyone, I mean, obviously, we're going to have some training and some things like that, but anybody can be a parking enforcement agent. So I'm already advertising for the position.
oh boy. Any other questions, comments? Go ahead, Nancy, if you have one for Chief. Yeah, sure.
Nancy Rebar, 405 South Saginaw. Page 3. Number 1, do you really mean to say a minimum of 2 hours?
Yes.
So I want to stop in, I want to get a cup of coffee at Battle Alley Coffee Shop.
Then park in a parking lot and walk around the corner.
That's going to hurt her business.
I asked for a 15-minute
Yeah,
as
Yeah.
one of my,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
see if. we'll see if
The commuters are not going to do that. That's my,
I'm sorry, I think I missed. Not
the
gonna-
commuters. I'm on my way to work.
Okay, okay, I thought you want longer. Now, the shorting,
No,
the shorter.
the minimum is what I'm struggling with.
Yeah, well, that's the maximum. The minimum is whatever they want. You can't park for longer than 2 hours. You don't have to be there 2 hours, but it's a 2-hour maximum parking. But if the parking space is available, then they're gonna go in, buy their coffee and leave. Now, you can designate the 15-minute short-term parking. The only thing realistically about that, it's unenforceable. As long as everybody understands it's unenforceable, and every community will tell you the same thing. Usually you can actually highlight those with green curb paint, is kind of the uniform traffic code. And you can put up signs that says 15-minute parking, and it lets people come in. But the only way to have that is if you have somebody sit there and watch that car for 15 minutes, is the only way you'd be able to enforce it. But by having those, you can have them near your high turnover spots. Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Your language is a little stilted.
The language is weird. Under
does
number
say
1,
a
it's,
minimum
of 2 and maximum of 3.
but I think that he's suggesting that the minimum
No,
maximum is 2 hours.
What I'm recommending is the minimum maximum. So,
The minimum maximum, yeah.
and again, this is a very broad document, because some communities say, well, I want to have 4-hour downtown parking.
Got it.
But every traffic engineering group out there, and history will tell you, because if you have the 2-hour max parking, they're gonna be there 3 hours by the time we do enforcement. So if you have 3, they're gonna be there 4. If you have 4, they're gonna be there 6 hours. You've lost your downtown parking overturn already. So the standard recommendation from parking engineering firms for the last 20 years is 2-hour parking in a downtown district. It still gives you a little flex.
I think it's important to point out, they can't make you stay there longer than you want to.
Unless you want us to.
Well, and
If you'd like me to, we can, yeah.
if there was a charge here, there'd be, you know, accommodations that you'd be like objectable to, like, well, I don't want to pay for 2 hours minimum because I only want to be there for 15 minutes. But there is no parking meter, so this is just a minimum.
And I'm sorry about my language, but what I was addressing is normally the questions I always get is, yeah, but I don't want it 2 hours, I want it 3 or 4. Because I got a hair salon, and people getting perms are gonna be down at 4, and I tell them, you know what? Then they need to park in a parking lot that's adjacent to that, because you have to regulate your on-street parking. So by that, and you're correct, my language is, but it's the 2 hour, the minimum or maximum, or 3 is whatever, and again, that's whatever, the council and by recommendations, the DDA and staff is gonna come up with, but. Massage.
No,
Well,
we're not letting you leave.
yeah, what goes to council will be, a similar, but yeah, we're gonna recommend 2 hour, and I'm actually recommending, 2 hour to this body. Not that we have to lock that down. And again, what I'm looking for tonight is just a recommendation of adopting this parking management system with many aspects of that to come back to council for approval. We're not just gonna act on it. We've got ordinances we gotta do, we got signage, we got names, of parking lots, we've got costs, not a lot of costs, but costs associated, with signage, you know, $17, $16 an hour employees, and how often we're gonna bring them in and that kind of thing, so.
Well, and I think once the final product or final draft is completed, council, I would think, would want that to come back to the DDA for one more review, at least one more, to look it over, to get your final recommendation that, yeah, this is the plan that we want for our DDA district.
Okay. Jerome, you have one
I
more?
just want to add that I really think that once we're through this holiday season, that we have an overview little gathering for all the merchants in town. Because the minute everyone sees this on YouTube tonight, there will be an uproar, and there'll be all kinds of myths and false things going around the community. And before you know it, no one's gonna be allowed in because there's huge gates on Holly Road.
Well, actually, I highly recommend, and I would like to do at least 2 and maybe 3.
Like a town hall type thing? with-
Yes, and I've done those, again, with the parking management system, it's going to be my recommendation. I was coming tonight just for the overall broad brush concept, but before we adopt, we will have, or I'm requesting that we have, open public town hall meetings with every business owner and every customer that can come in and sit down, ask questions, take a look at it, see how the system works. I'm gonna ask everybody to do their homework, go to the mall, and go to the 3 cities downtown and park, and then come on back and see what you like better. But, yeah, we do those town halls, you know, there's no secrets here, there's nothing hidden, there's nothing, what we wanna do is improve our effective management and use of traffic to better our business, better our traffic flow. It's safer, it's more effective, it'll increase our business traffic downtown. It'll make our tenants that live downtown feel better and safer, like they're not hiding and ducking. We'll have a management system, and we'll have a handle on that. We'll know how many folks live downtown, and how we can better assist them. They can't have 5 motorhomes, 3 boats, and 7 cars if they got a 1-bedroom apartment. It was just, there's gonna be guidelines and regulations to that. A local municipality should not bear the cost and burden of providing unlimited parking, for private enterprise. There we
Are
are.
there any last?
I actually have a question about the Red Devil parking lot. So there's several spaces, for example, RHL, that's been allocated just for their business, or there's a few Airbnbs. Are those companies or Airbnb owners paying for those spaces?
No.
Like, how is that working?
They actually own those. Those are deed entitled to them.
Got it.
It's not
Okay.
grandfathered. They actually own them. So they have deed and title to that. And again, in a lot of municipalities, I've seen this in 3 or 4 other towns, where you'll go into a parking lot or even on a street and there's a created land or on-street public lands, and then this one's deeded and titled from 1912 or 1914. So they actually own those spots, and that is private property.
So then DPW is not plowing those, or how does that work?
Well, we're hoping to have, and honestly, I'm not sure on
Okay.
that. But some of the things I want to do is look at if you got 15-minute parking that's in the public parking area, let's move that 15-minute parking to a different location so we can expand it, maybe along the on-street. So those are the fine points that we're going to look at, is how we can improve the parking flow in these lots. But the overall management plan is, we're gonna rename the lot, we're gonna increase, we've got some ideas about adding a few more spots in that lot, but we have to navigate around what's privately owned. So when you see those signs, those are privately
But
owned.
that gets into the agreement that you hope to make with those businesses, right? So that, my guess is RHL doesn't have a lot of customers coming in on the weekends. So maybe those spots can be open on the weekends for other customers.
I think if you look at those signs, there's hours on them
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, what we're looking at is like a whole new business. I know the church, a couple of the churches have, when I called them when we had a funeral for a deputy, I called all 3 of our churches downtown, and everybody said, including, Dwyer's said the same thing. They said, you use our lot, because we thought there could be 3,000 people coming down here. It was a young deputy who died. So we're looking at going to everybody that's got a parking lot and then having an overall agreement for that lot. And it's whatever they would like. I mean, if they say, look, I don't want to have any public parking down here Monday through Friday, but I'm not here Saturday and Sunday. And so, okay, how will that benefit? And if it's going to benefit both of us, then let's form an agreement. And now we can put signage up, now we can publish that. Whereas right now, you might know, and you might know, and you might know, that over by Joe's house on the east side, we can park there at the business after 6 p.m. But nobody else coming to town knows that. This way, we can uniform everything, publish it, get it out there, and increase, plan and project our parking for growth and development and the events that we have downtown.
Okay, any last minute comments from the board?
Oops. Yeah.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Do I have to
Yes,
go to the podium?
you do.
Yes.
Hillary Allgaier, 121 Alley Street. I was wondering what without having overnight spots designated, what the winter plowing looks like in the lot is one of my questions. Do you want me to just tell you all of them and then?
If you have a few, we
I
could,
have a series. I'm sorry. I have a
okay,
comment.
if you'd like, I could answer them as we go.
Okay.
So that's a process that the village, that we're working with our DPW director on that. The present system is almost impossible as well. It's not working. So if you have overnight parking in the 18 designated spots, you're gonna have a foot of snow come, and guess where they're gonna be parked? In their overnight designated spots. So the other problem is you can have vehicles in there. We can ticket them all day long, but they're still gonna be in there blocking the plow. We can't tow them. So the management plan that you have is got to be something that we can do like advance notice. And saying, hey, look, we've got a storm coming out. It's kind of tough. You're always gonna have people not get the notice or not wanna move their vehicles. But the one we have now, those vehicles are still parked in that spot when the snow comes and the DPW can't get at them anyway. And they'll leave 1 or 2 at a time. So we are working with the DPW to come up with a system that they would improve, or that they would approve, that would be effective.
Okay, and then, I've found with my working with QR codes with events, that they're about 60-40 user-friendly, like 40% of the people don't get them, they get frustrated. So where will this be posted for QR challenged people?
The other thing I'd like to see us do is, I know this sounds kind of dorky, but if people have placemats in their business, put a little mini map. And we can come up with a really simple map of here's our downtown district, and here's the red lot, green lot, blue lot, yellow lot, whatever, and here's north and here's south. And then just a caveat on there that, free downtown parking, public parking lots. So those could be in different places. The QR code would just have that and get it out there. But there's different ways we can publish. We can have a sticker if you'd like as a business, and you can put that on the outside of your door. You can put it on your website. And I would encourage every business to put our parking, whatever mini parking plan that we come up with, a little design, and here's where all the lots are, and then here's the language. 2-hour parking on the street downtown, free all-day parking in our municipal parking lots, 23-hour parking in effect, you can't park all night. And so those would go on social media sites, your website, all your business marketing, because it's to your advantage as a business to have that out there. So that would go in addition to the QR code. It's all about education and getting it out there.
And then I just have 2 comments. I personally would like us to, since we're following the lead of other municipalities, consider having resident-only parking signs. I see that just about everywhere I go. So I would like to see that. And then just another observation as being a downtown resident, most of the rentals have 2 cars per rental. So, and then like this lady came to the Airbnb the other day and they had 3 vehicles. So there are a lot of vehicles downtown, period. So, thank you.
Thank you. And again, in answer to those questions, those vehicles are there right now. Those vehicles were there a year ago. What we're trying to do is improve the system on managing so everybody understands how and where those vehicles can go, and that we have a better understanding. We've got a kind of an understanding now of how many vehicles employee-based are downtown. We did a poll with our business owners. So if we have 196 employee vehicles, we know that we're gonna need to create off-street parking for 196 vehicles. So all of these are good questions, and all of these are valid concerns. The one thing we have to remember is that if it's public street parking in a roadway, we can't regulate that to private use. So it's always first come, first serve. Public roadways and public parking. Now, municipally owned parking can create rules for overnight parking, 3 to 6, no parking, 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. That's to allow for snow plowing. That's to keep vehicles from being dropped. That happens a lot. Dump junk vehicles will end up in parking lots. So that allows it to be regulated that way. So these are all great questions, all great concerns. And we've got all of these issues plaguing us right now. What this will do is allow us to manage that.
Comment.
Go ahead.
Obviously, we know we have parking challenges downtown, but those are good problems. It means our downtown is busier, right? We've watched it grow year after year after year. When we bought that property, didn't know exactly what we were gonna do behind First Street and Civic Street, and it just makes the most sense to do parking there and to do a private-public partnership. It's there, it's a giant piece of property for 200 spots, and like Chief said, that just benefits everyone. It's not just us. Obviously, we need it. I mean, we're battling for parking spots, just to get workers in to actually work. So a lot to be worked out, but just wanted to comment on that it's there, obviously, to put together all the pieces of the puzzle, and it'll be great if we can make it happen.
And to have up to 200 available spaces within a block of everything downtown, I mean, aside from a floating island, that's almost unheard of. And what we have, and you said something very smart and very wise, and I like to joke with this, is the good news is we have a parking problem. The bad news is we have a parking problem. We will never escape, as every downtown, we're in an 1859 to 1865 downtown infrastructure with 2024 business needs and traffic. And every town has that same dilemma. I don't care where you go in Michigan, they have the small towns, the streets are this, all the businesses are lined up this way, so we have to make that work. And I think collectively and through partnerships and relationships and effective management, we can answer every question that we have. And I've seen communities do that, and
Will there be any relevant fauna or environmental impact? I know some of that area back there, when you get by the tracks, there's, I see deer going in and out.
And that will be a part of the planning and approval, is to meet all state law and environmental. It's not gonna process forward without approvals and planning and, following the process.
Okay, thank you.
I think we just got an engineer proposal.
Yep.
And
Yep, and actual traffic engineering, in this, that meets Michigan requirements. Yep.
Any other comments? Yes.
Anna Matson, 15091 Western Valley. I am probably like the only person that doesn't really think we have a huge parking problem. I go downtown numerous times a week. There has been one time in our 4 years that I haven't had a spot. I just think we have a problem with people knowing where the parking is. So I think that this project should be done in phases. I think getting the parking lots on Google Maps, getting an additional 200 spaces, I feel like that will correct the problem because people will know where the parking is. When we have events, they can go right to maps. Like whoever's hosting the event can have it all right there, like here's your parking. So in terms of like making it where you can only park for 2-3 hours, I just don't see the benefit of that right this second. I mean, we technically right now don't have overnight parking already because of the snow ordinance and stuff, so I don't know. Obviously, you guys that work downtown will know better than me, but I'm just saying, I go downtown all the time and I've never not had a spot, and it seems fine. And also consider with the 2 to 3 hours that you're gonna have to sign all of that. And so one of the goals of the DDA is to beautify downtown, beautify the DDA district. So that's a lot more signage that you're gonna have to put up for that as well. Thank you.
Hearing no other comments from the board, do we have a proposal to recommend this parking management system?
I'll make a motion to move forward with the next steps on this parking management proposal.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved. Recommend, and we look forward to hearing the next steps and more detail as it comes. And I would put a recommendation that you have a town hall right in my shop, because my folks are gonna be some of the biggest offenders. Just saying.
Perfect location.
And they have a flip phone.
But-
Just to help them pay their tickets.
But thank you, everyone, and we will,
Thanks for coming,
as
Chief.
transparent as possible and as all the comments we can get.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is review of candidates for our open board positions. We currently have 2 positions open. One is a regular board position, the second one is our citizen position. And I'm gonna turn this over to April to conduct this.
Okay, I see that we have Hillary, I see that we have Anna and David. Okay, I wasn't certain, thank you. Let's go from left to right. Hillary, do you want to start? You can go up to the mic and present yourself to the.
No, not me.
Just tell us a little bit about yourself, why you wanna do this, what position you're interested in.
Hillary Allgaier, 121 Alley Street. I'm interested in the citizen at large position. So I moved to Holly 9 years ago, to be closer to my family. And about 8 years ago is when I got involved with the DDA volunteering for Main Street. And I've served on the organization team and promotions team. And it's really something that I've been passionate about over the years, and I love our community. So after about a year of being involved with Main Street, I started kind of coordinating volunteers, and a couple of the things, I don't want to like I'm trying to summarize 8 years of service. So I highlighted like the 3 things that I'm like the most proud of. So through my volunteer recruitment efforts over the years, I've recruited 135 volunteers for the DDA. I haven't quite figured out how to get them all to show up at once, but but we definitely have a strong database going. I've had my feet on the ground at every event over the years, and I'm usually the first person to get there and the last person to leave, with the exception of our DDA director. And I've pretty much managed all of the volunteers for all of our events, and now I've trickled over to Dickens, and that's been actually a very big task. But I've also helped out with the Holly Area Chamber events, and an American Legion event. I volunteer for the township, the Moose Lodge. Well, I don't really volunteer for the Moose Lodge anymore, but I did in the past. And then the Holly Area Veterans Resource Center. I've been assisting Amy Hellman with doing fundraisers for them for their new building. But for me, this is kind of like more of, I've really enjoyed working with Main Street, and I kind of know all of the working parts, and I like how it works together, and it's actually kind of nudged me in the direction of a career path, and I'm going back to college in January to get my degree, and hope that in business administration, with hopes that that will further my career in serving Main Street and possibly Oakland County Main Street. We've had 2 different DDA directors in my time of service, and hopefully we're on the verge of finding a third. And our last DDA director, I pretty much was like his assistant. It was my role in things. So I'm very familiar with all of the ins and outs of the special event applications and the requirements for that, and I utilize those quite a bit, and even knowing what to do with the events and what are we allowed to do and all of the different things. And then also I helped, our team came up with a pretty good vision statement, which is my 3rd point that I'm proud of. So I would love to further my service to our community by serving on the DDA board. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Manson?
Hello, I'm sure you guys are very familiar with me. I've been coming to DDA meetings for probably 2.5 years and missed maybe 3 meetings the whole time. I'm very passionate about small businesses here at the local level. I truly think that Holly has the best small businesses. I also am very passionate about small businesses at the federal level. I look into the Small Business Administration a lot of times. They give a lot of money to big corporations, and so I'm a big advocate for them not doing that. And I run my own small business. I started my career in retail when I was in college. I was a store manager. And yeah, I just decided one day that I don't want to make someone else rich. I want to work for myself and show the world that you can run a business ethically and still make a profit. Within a year of starting my own business, I run a digital media company. I made 6 figures, and I'm really proud of the work I've done. And as other small business owners know, that you are the jack of all trades when you're a small business owner. You know finance, you know taxes, you know marketing, sales, service, everything. So I've done it all. I have my master's degree in marketing. I got a 4.0 in that, and I was really proud of that. So marketing just encompasses a lot. Market research is my specialty. I love to research. I love to look at data and everything, dig into numbers. But I'm really good at social media, promotions. I've promoted many of your businesses because I love helping others and watching other small businesses succeed. In terms of volunteerism in the community, I don't really advertise what I do. A lot of people don't realize how much I do for the community because I don't need to announce it into a microphone, but the chamber I'm very active in, so anytime there is some kind of ribbon cutting, I always go to, or I try to always go, to take nice professional photos for the businesses and give it to them for free. I never ask to be tagged or anything. It's never to promote me, it's only to promote that business at the time. I was a part of both of the Harry Potter events, so helped start that event. Both years that there was the Santa Paws fundraiser at Fur Baby, I helped with that, took the photos to raise money for local pet charities. Anytime someone asks for help, I try to be there. So I helped with the Legion to help with promotional materials for them. Even on, I think it was Saturday, I got a call 10 minutes before the Dickens Festival had their ribbon cutting saying, hey, are you gonna be here? And I'm like, no one told me, but I'll be there. And I was there to take photos and it was fun. So I try to do what I can. Like I said, I think we have the best small businesses and I know how to run a business. And you know, I think a lot of traits of running a business is how government should be run. You should be looking at every dime to make sure it's running efficiently and effectively. And I'm good at doing that. You should research and take care, like I said, take care of every dollar that you spend. So thank you so much.
And in what position are you hoping to fill, the citizen? Or
The citizen, yeah.
Thank you. And Mr., is it Smirdka?
Yeah.
Thank you.
David Smirka, give me my address.
Yes, your,
Right.
just your street address.
208 East Maple.
Thank you.
My resume is not as impressive on a volunteer schedule as Barbara Hannah's. So my interest largely here, we have our kids been in Holly Schools since they started school. We moved into town a little while back and really enjoy the village and enjoy all the businesses, you know, being able to walk to and enjoy them. We've been coming to meetings, so it's just more of like a curiosity for me, but I'm not trying to be like dismissive of it, like just trying to get involved and understand why things happen and how they happen, and if there's a part that, well, obviously we can play as citizens to help contribute to that based on our experience that's slightly different from yours. My experience from a business perspective is professionally I do retail design. So
You do what? I'm sorry.
retail design.
Retail.
So we do store designs for national chains out of the organization. It's event marketing, basically. So trade shows, events, exhibits, all that stuff. My specialty is retail. So I'm familiar with the business side of things and thought that might be, this particular group might be a good fit as a result of my experience. I don't really know if it transfers all that much. Largely, I just don't know what I can offer, but I figured if we, you know, I came in, gave it a shot, you guys might be able to find something I can do. Got some talents, maybe, few. So,
When
kind
we
of a
spoke
weak-
on the phone, you
except
mentioned-
for presentation. Not that good at that. Self-marketing is terrible.
When we spoke on the phone, you mentioned a little bit about your volunteerism with the robotics team, and there was something else.
Oh, it's just, but yeah, I mean, that's, so I'm a dad, right? So I've done all the scout stuff, done the robotics team, the band, the kids are in the band, so I'm at the marching band. So I'm down in the field helping them move stuff around and make sure people got the stuff that they've got. And, you know, outside of that, I try to just help people in town, you know, that I know, friends and family and neighbors that I've met since we've moved here. So, yeah, I don't have any formal soup kitchen type work, except for when I was younger.
And your interest was also in the citizen position
Yeah,
as
citizen
well.
participation. Yeah, I don't have a business, so I guess you're not gonna let me in on that one. If you wanna let me in on that one, I'd be good with that too.
All right, thank you so much.
Yep, thanks.
And if the board doesn't mind, I would like to hear from each person about which candidate or candidates they support, if any. Oh, boy. If anyone in particular really stands out, now is the time to be heard.
Any comments from the board?
I'll just say, I think all of them need to be applauded for coming forward, because
Thank
getting
you.
people to come forward to step up for a volunteer position that pays really great is to be encouraged and thanked, so I want to say that. They all have their own strengths. I know, David, you didn't have the presentation skills, but I personally know you, so
Yeah.
I know your work ethic and that type of thing, and I think that's creditable, very credible. And Anna, of course, know you from around the community and things like that. So, I mean, I personally wouldn't have a problem with any one of these three stepping up to serve on the board. Hillary has most recently been closer involved with me in regards to the Dickens Festival, and she has showed the same passion in her volunteerism with the Dickens Festival as she has in the past with the DDA. So I don't have anything ill to say about any of them. As they all know, I would in front of them because I don't care.
Any other comments?
They're all good.
Okay.
I
Very helpful, guys.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I do have to make a comment. I've known Hillary the most. I do love community involvement. I have personally loved volunteering all my life, whether it was in a community, at a school. I love that you're a volunteer dad because I love the dads volunteering, so. But Hillary, I know you the most because you're on the ground with us through the years that I've had a business here.
At every meeting. She's been at just about every meeting. Not
Yes,
DDA meetings, promotions meeting,
organizational-
organization, like all
Yeah.
the meetings.
Our promotional meetings, organizational meetings. I was the one that roped you into Chamber of Commerce because we really needed somebody. I said, well, we need to call Hillary. So you've done a great job. And Anna, oh my gosh, you've been to more meetings than me. No, but I do love your passion for the numbers and the business side of things, because I think that's really important. And actually, a lot of your comments has had me self-reflect on my own, making sure that I know the finances here and how we're spending our money. So thank you all for all that you do for our community.
Not making your decision any easier, but
No, not at all. Thanks so much, you guys.
Can you just let everybody know what the next step would be?
Yeah, I will make my decision within the week. I'll be calling all three of you to let you know what I've decided and where we're gonna go forward from here. And if there's a nominee to be on the January agenda, I will let you know who you might be. Thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Have any businesses come forward to?
You know, we had interest from Sharina from Luna. She was supposed to be here tonight, so I'm not sure what happened there. Missy and her husband were both thinking about it. I guess that was a no. And really, that was it.
Maybe we can try them for the January meeting.
Yeah, I'll keep doing outreach if you guys want to, reach out to any other business owners you know as well. If anyone out there knows business owners that might be interested, send them our way. Tell them
Anna,
we
you're
pay
bus-
great.
Sorry. Anna, you're a business owner. Was there a reason why you wanted to be citizen?
My business, is remote, I'm not a storefront.
So you have to be a storefront. I should
Yeah,
know
you have
that,
to be a
sorry.
storefront in the DDA district.
Fair enough. Apparently I don't know the rules.
But Anna does.
I guess I didn't realize you have to be a brick and mortar. My bad.
Yeah, the Michigan law says 5 people have to be business owners in the district. 1 person has to live in the DDA district. 1 person is the council person. So 2 people can just live in the village.
Fair enough. I knew that, but I didn't know it had to be brick and mortar. So,
Okay.
As we search for a business to be involved, I would like to consider some folks north a little bit.
We've tried, but
I know
yes.
we've tried. And if I'm not mistaken, it does not have to be the business owner. It can be a representative of a business, as long as the business owner gives approval for them to serve on behalf of their business. With that being said, I can personally reach out to them because I had some interaction over sponsorships from the Dickens Festival, but I would consider reaching out to the folks that own the Chimney store out in the North Shopping Plaza. They're a young couple and they seem very involved in the business, and they don't own it that I'm aware of, but I know they're very involved.
They're managers?
Yeah, they are the active part during the week.
What happens if all of a sudden they're not a manager anymore? Then we'd have
You
to
just-
find a new
you
position.
have a void in your
somebody
board,
else.
but-
Okay,
It's no different than anyone else. I mean, any
Okay.
one of us could say, I'm not doing this no more.
Right, no, but it's a little bit, probably more probable.
Like I
that-
said, it would
yeah.
be a designated person from the business owner.
Okay,
I believe that the Villagers Plaza was sold to,
Yes.
I don't know who the new owner is, but whomever that may be interested as well. Just putting that out there.
The folks from the Chimney Company, they're very active at the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, they are?
Yes, they are.
okay.
Good to know.
Good to know.
So far, the people I reached out to, out of the 10, only like 2 hung up on me when they realized why I was calling.
That's not bad odds, then.
Not bad.
Welcome to leadership.
Right. Okay, we're gonna move on our agenda to old business, and it's just an update on our DDA director open position. As you're aware, the last time we had a meeting, we did conduct an interview with an individual from, she previously was in Oxford DDA. And evidently she had a number of opportunities and decided to go to a different direction. So that kind of put us back on square one and looking for a director. It is back out on MML. We have a couple of applicants, but we're not gonna find one that fits all the bills. You know, hits all of the requirements that we're looking for, but we want to make sure that we get a DDA director that can continue the work that Nick was doing and be able to move us in the right direction. So we're going to keep trying. I reached out to Oakland County just last week again and asked Tim Colbeck, like, please, go out to your network. There's got to be an assistant out there somewhere that aspires to be a director, somewhere, somebody in, working within a village, that would have some knowledge and want to do this, but may not be on MML. So they're not seeing that there is an open position. And he agreed that he would go back out and try to send out a message to the different municipalities or villages and so forth to try to see if we can come up with somebody that might be interested. I did also try to put it on LinkedIn. The Village of Holly doesn't have a LinkedIn page, and so I ran into some snafus and they redirected me, and I honestly just have not had the time with the Dickens and everything else going on in December to try to recreate that whole process. But that is another opportunity. I think LinkedIn is a great way to find people that might be interested in this position. So we'll keep at it and we'll keep limping along, and I'm doing the best I can with everything else, and we'll keep at it.
That's it.
Okay? I'm going to open up now for public comment on anything that you haven't already talked about that you would like to get off your chest. Anybody?
7:28 p.m.
There you go.
It's on silent. I don't know why that is that.
I didn't know Alexa was here.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to reports. Committee reports, economic vitality. Do you have anything to report?
We did attempt to have a meeting last month, but we ran into a lot of scheduling conflicts, so gonna try to redo one this month.
Understandable. Design?
The same. We did not have a meeting last month, and since our regularly scheduled meeting time is the 4th week, I don't think that's gonna be happening this month either. So I think we're gonna start fresh again in January. I will tell you that the Adopt a Garden program is live on the website, and we did get some response from that. Some people were adopting gardens, which is great. So we're moving forward in that project, and then I just gonna regroup and hopefully get a few new energy people on the design committee in the new year.
Okay. Promotions.
Promotions in the same boat. We will reconvene in January and map out the whole year.
Organization, we're kind of in the same boat. just schedules and trying to fit this in, so I think we'll just hit the ground running in January. Okay? Village manager report?
I have three things briefly. Really, after following Chief Narsh, anything is brief, but
Wow.
I
Waited
not
till
here to
11 to
defend
say
himself.
that.
he would admit to that if he was here. So basically, I have three things though. So as you know, we've had a Wi-Fi system downtown, albeit not the greatest. It's been very slow and it's difficult to use. We received notification from Oakland County this week that their free Wi-Fi program is ending. So as bad as it is, shortly we will have nothing. Staff is currently looking at some different options, and so we'll bring those back to the DDA and to the council. I mean, in our mind, staff's mind, it's kind of a joint benefit to both the business owners in the downtown, whether it serves the businesses or it serves the customers that come into the businesses, as well as it's just good to have it. And so I'll be looking into that more. We'll try and have a report for you in the January meeting, if not January, February at the latest, but we hope to have something in January for that. Number two that I wanted to talk about actually is related to Wi-Fi, in that it's contingent upon having adequate Wi-Fi, is the downtown camera system. So at the last council meeting, President Brandon talked about the need for a security camera system in the downtown. This is not a new concept, but it's new at this time. So previously, myself and Chief Narsh had met with a vendor to get some quotes on downtown camera systems. It kind of stalled because the downtown internet was not adequate to support those systems, and there's a cost factor. Based upon comments from President Brandon, she directed staff to get some updated information on that. And so we have met with two different security camera providers. We have another appointment with a third one. And so we're putting together information for security cameras. Again, I think this is mutually beneficial. I mean, obviously, we as a community, we want cameras down there. Not that we have a huge crime problem. I mean, truthfully, our major crime problem downtown is vandalism or petty theft. And the times when the police department has tracked down the responsible people, they have been teenagers. And so, you know, they've taken appropriate action with those. But, you know what, in today's society, I don't think you can underestimate the need for security system. And so we will be getting more information on that. It will come to the DDA. It will also come to the council as we talk about cost and installation. And I think that this could be a unique opportunity. When we looked at this system before, we looked at not only security cameras for security safety reasons, we looked at the ability to live stream events, such as Dickens, such as the car show, such as any type of show. It could be things that are occurring in Battle Alley, you know, such as, could even be karaoke night, who knows? Somebody could be a YouTube star on karaoke. But so I think for that reason, I think it's something that the DDA should at least take a look at. As we get information again, we will present that to you. And then the last thing is we talked previously in previous meetings about the fireworks contract. That contract is going to the village council tomorrow night for approval. I just want to remind the DDA board, and I'll be talking to the council about this same thing, that with my retirement, there is a need for a committee in order to drive fundraising. So we've done a very good job over the last 14 years of not using tax dollars to pay for fireworks. I think it's appropriate. It's not that you can't do it, but I just think there's a better use, and have felt that way, a better use for tax dollars. And we've been very successful in fundraising, but it's not something that happens by itself for any of you that run events. It takes about currently about $16,000 to $17,000 of cash to do the 2 fireworks events that we do, that being on the 4th of July and holidays. And the DDA has been very generous in that they pick up half the costs for the downtown fireworks on holidays, but that still leaves, you know, $15,000 or $16,000, you know, that has to be raised. So I would look for the board, or ask the board, to be looking within yourselves, or tap a volunteer that is dependable, that will serve on a committee and take responsibility, I think, on behalf of the board in order to do your part in fundraising. I think fireworks, I think it's a benefit to the overall community to have those. And I'm going to be making this same statement to the council tomorrow, that the council, the Parks Commission, somebody needs to take the lead on this committee and be just comprised of staff members, council members, Park Commission members, DDA board members, or designees. Because once the council signs the contract for the fireworks, the village is on the hook for about $17,000 a year for the next 2 years. Each of the next 2 years. So that's all that I have.
Okay. Board comments, anything else, Dave? John?
Thank you.
Jerome?
Oh, I always have something. I'd be wrong if I didn't say the Dickens Fest has one more weekend. And to Jerry's comment about sponsorship, I want to say it has been amazing, the sponsorship that we've been able to get to have the festival that we have this year. We've had some new attractions thanks to, in part, the DDA partnership with being the title sponsor. Also, the Holly Vault Collection, Wingelmeyer Furniture, Battle Alley, Holly. I mean, pretty much all of us sitting up here have been contributors, as well as Curtin Lumber and Shannon and the whole slew that's all listed on our website. So all I can say is, if you haven't participated in the Dickens Festival yet this year, you have one more weekend. And the Boy Scouts are roasting chestnuts, and they're amazing. And it's a great way to keep that holiday spirit going right up to the holiday. So. And the wreath walk, there's wreaths available at all the businesses that participated that are really beautifully decorated and available for purchase, with proceeds going to help support the festival. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for everyone.
April?
Thank you. Yeah, so also, and going off of what Jerry said earlier about the possible cameras downtown, he spoke a bit on potential revenue generation because of some of the live streaming, you know, being able to create people going, oh, let's go down to Holly. Also, the train community can be pretty intense. So if we had some that could be aimed at the trains, that could be something that could help our local businesses too. And I wanted to thank each of you for applying today and showing interest, your commitment to businesses, yours to the kids, and you're just always volunteering for something. And to the board, thank you. I know that these conversations publicly can be uncomfortable, but because of the OMA, we have to have them in public, and I wanted you all to have a chance to have my ear, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carly?
I have a question about the security cameras. You said do you have the company that you're gonna choose? Are you guys voting on that tomorrow?
No, actually, we're still in the information gathering stage, and so once we get that information gathering and we get a good handle on what the different options are, because there'll be options.
I'd love to know.
Different scenarios. It will come to the DDA first, and then to the council. The council, of course, will have to approve any contract or purchases with any vendors, but like I said, in my mind, the DDA has skin in the game because you have the businesses that you work with, and really you are the businesses. But I mean, I think a joint venture with the DDA council is a proper avenue to investigate.
And if there's anyone who wants to get a professional system, I feel like there may be an advantage of calling the company who you guys choose to say, oh, you're gonna be in downtown Holly.
Certainly.
So just because I feel now you just need a better system these days with everything happening. Not that we have lots of crime, but just to have. And in regard to the Wi-Fi, did anyone try, I know that Starlink is all over the place now with the satellite service. Is that one company that you guys are looking into?
We have not
Something to
looked into
consider.
them, but I definitely can put that on the list.
And when is that stopping from Oakland County, Jerry, just so we know?
So they haven't given us a firm drop dead date, they just said after the first of the year.
Okay.
And so I have a meeting, teleconference meeting set up later this week with them. I'll try and get a firm date.
Okay, I don't know of which businesses use the public Wi-Fi for their own, but I'm sure there are some.
They can, it's so slow.
Well, I know, I don't, but there may be some that do. So we just want to make sure that everybody is aware and we don't cut somebody off if
Sure.
they don't have their home. Holly, any further comments?
No?
Okay. I would just like to take the opportunity to wish everybody a Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate this month. It's coming up fast, and our next meeting will be Monday, January 13th, right here at 6 PM. Thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned. It is 7:41.
Did you like how I texted you about my Wi-Fi and then realized I had a wireless pluggable? I'm like, oh my God.